Hello, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is called Bruce on the Loose. I talk to people in city government, the school system, and various businesses and corporations in the city of Wadsworth. We're very pleased to have Wadsworth Community Radio on today. Tina Heiberg in the middle, to her left, Joe Jastrzemski, and Tom Stugmyer. And Tom, why don't we start with you, since you were initially involved with the station. What was the thought behind having a radio station in Wadsworth?
Well, originally, the vision of Joe and Susan Arpad, they were college professors around the country, and of course a lot of the venues they were at had small radio stations. And so when they came back to Wadsworth, they thought, how unique for our hometown to have a radio station. So they made an application with the FCC back in, I believe it was 2010, and that application sat there for a while, and then they went through and sorted through them, and then late in 2013, beginning in 2014, we were awarded our construction permit and had 18 months to get the FM signal up. And so at that point, Tim Davidson, there were a couple other people that were in the radio business, saw that that application had been, or that construction permit had been granted, and got a hold of Joe, and we all kind of got together and moved forward with it from that.
Wadsworth was kind of a unique community, having a TV station with local sports and other programs, and a radio station too.
Right, it is, and again, that opportunity for the different type of media allows a lot of that local coverage to happen. So.
Can you share a memory of the early days? I'm sure it was touch and go, and you probably made a few errors along the way, but we won't speak about those. Yeah. But people really enjoyed it, and certainly a lot more people are listening as the years have gone on.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I can remember, early on, when we were going to go on the FM on air, I would come in on Sunday afternoons and just do a little radio show, kind of you're just running the board, just getting comfortable with things to kind of practice ahead of time, because I had never done radio. I mean, I could do it forever and never catch up with the experience of Tina and Joe over here, and so it was kind of learn as you go. But it was fun, because again, I had never been in the media at all before.
Our first show that we did was kind of unique, because we had the mayor on the first day.
Who was that?
It was Mayor Lawbaugh.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
The mayor was on, and we also, and at the same time, we had at that time Congressman Renacci was on. So we had the two most famous politicians at that time in our studio to welcome us on the air.
Mayor Lawbaugh is the longest running mayor, Joe. I didn't know if you know that little history. I used to teach history, Joe, in Wadsworth history. So she's gotten elected again, and she will add to her years as the mayor of Wadsworth.
Well, learn something new every day.
Okay, that's great. Tina, how about your background? Were you originally on the ground floor of this enterprise?
Yeah, you're looking at three of the, there were five of us, I would say, six if you count Jack.
Right.
Seven if you count Joe, Joe Arpad, who were involved from the very beginning. And so we've been with this station for 10 plus years, because it took a year or so to get it up and running. And it's been really cool to see it change, because Tom wasn't always in the capacity that he's in. He's now co-host, but he started out by getting the co-host position, if you will, just by being there. I had a friend once tell me that one of the most important parts of life is just showing up. And so he showed up. He was the photographer, because he's great at that. And the opening became available. I always wanted to be a co-host. I come from a news background, news and sports background. And so it just so happened that Tom was in the right place at the right time, and a great fit for the co-host position of our station. And Joe and I have pretty much been in the same capacity, although we've gained extra roles, I would say, as time's gone on, right? Because you evolve in 10 years.
When the part of the funny thing is when that position opened up, it's like that Broad Street changes into College Street. Why don't you come in and do this?
Yeah, he was
a little bit of the local,
connected.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's so connected that he was a perfect choice to get in here with us.
Tina, I'm really impressed with your interview skills. You've talked to Doug Beeman and people on the outside, and certainly council members, et cetera. What goes into a good interview?
Preparation.
Okay.
You got to be prepared. I don't like to be unprepared. And so that might have shown through when I was like, could we do a couple of these questions? So I think you need to know the person that you're interviewing. And being a journalist, I'm sure, Joe, you would agree, sometimes you feel like you have to know a little bit about everything, right? Because you're interviewing so many different kinds of people. And you want to make sure that they know that you're taking them seriously and what they're in the studio for seriously. And so I think it's always best to be prepared, know who they are, what they do, and then ask some questions. And here's the kicker: if all else fails, there's AI now, so you can get some help. I'm just saying. You need any help, it's there.
Yeah, a lot of different people, and I think the Wadsworth community appreciates hearing from Doug Beeman and where is their money going for the real estate taxes and other people. I think they appreciate that local touch.
I think that's what this station is all about. So I did a little bit of research, and I've got to see if I can get the numbers correct without my phone in front of me.
Okay.
I think there are 19,500 approximately cities and towns across the United States. That doesn't count like suburbs and like little towns that are don't have mayors or things like that. But for all intents and purposes, let's say 19,500. Out of those, there are right around 2,000 stations like us. So we're a top 10% city in the United States for having such a great radio station that is local. And that's the thing. You know how a lot of people say local government? That's where the differences happen. That's where you really invest your time and energy, because the local level tends to impact people more than a national level. I think that's what makes us so special. We can give a voice to this community.
Well, we say it tongue in cheek as a joke, but you'll hear that don't park at the library today because they're striping the lot.
Right.
But because we don't do any national news. I mean, we do all local things, because you can, again, in this day and age, you mentioned you can pick up your phone and Google national news or Google anything like that. Anything that we do is local, that you can only hear on our station.
Yeah.
Right.
And plus we have the mayor on every 2 months. We have Matt Hiscock on every month. We have Lori Wilkinson from the Supreme Center on every month. We're going to have Dan Chafin on every month. This gives them an opportunity to talk right with the folks who live here in Wadsworth. And if that's not enough, we also have Justin Todd on. We have George Steele. We've had Coach G on in the past. These are all regular segments that we have on our morning show.
And Joe, that leads me to your question. Do you do, like Tina said, she does a lot of research. If you have Coach G, can you say that he's been 27
Ramuglia,
years?
yes.
Yes, Ramuglia, yes.
Say that. Although, my interviewing style is a little different than Tina's.
Right.
Tina likes to do a lot of preparation.
Right.
I like to have a little bit of preparation, because I think some of our listeners may not be as familiar, and they would like to have me ask the questions that they might like to ask, the mayor or whomever.
Do you get ideas to who to interview from officials and citizens and
absolutely,
and visitors to our fine community?
Yes, a lot of people suggest guests, and that a lot of it is what we come by, people who are in the community. But yeah, I mean, the best way to do it is pick up the phone and call, or send an email or something like that, saying, I think that this person would be a good person to talk to, and we'll follow up on it.
From your perspective, what changes have happened in the 10 years that your station, Wadsworth Radio, has been on air?
Changes. I could just really talk about just the people who we've gotten, to know over the years. For one thing, I know that we're all real good friends with George Steele now, who's the bowling coach. And you may think, oh, that's not. But George, suggested, coming on the air, and we have George on during the during bowling season. he's a heck of a guy. He's a heck of a coach, and we like to have him on. Just changes in the people who are on city government. Some change with the school board. There have been changes as well, and you just see how the community has grown over the years.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, Tina, you certainly can chime in anytime.
So one of the things I think is really neat that's changed is, we've went from something new and novel to something that's established. So now we have so many people that reach out to us, where it used to be, I don't want to say exactly pulling teeth to get people to come on, but you're like, is this real? Is this legit? Is this established? And now I feel like we have an abundance of interviewee, potential. And so I really love that. And as much as the people who've come on have changed, we have remained the same. And so, yes, we've grown in certain ways, but it's still us, the same core three that started the station, and we're still here a decade later. It's been really fun because our studio has moved. We've moved just one time, but we used to be on the 3rd floor of the building. Now we're on the 1st floor, and it's been neat to see how the downtown area has changed and grown as well. So those are just some of the things that, new businesses coming in, and the colors that you see on the buildings and the murals. It's like everything's growing and blossoming the longer that we're on. And, Valley Cafe came on the same year as us, and I don't know, it's neat to see we're all still here, and then other places are coming in, and it's changing in really great ways.
Well, one of the biggest changes, good and bad, was COVID, because especially it in the long run it helped us, because that's really one of the moments that we had helping the community, because the schools came to us and said, we're trying to figure out how to do graduation. And we can do it in the parking lot, but everybody's in the car. How do we do that? It's hot. They're going to have air conditioning on. How can they hear? We do speakers.
Well, and you weren't allowed to have people come.
Right.
And so you had to sit in
congregate,
your cars that
It was
year.
outside.
Right.
So we had our Derek Gorman, who again we want to thank too. Derek's our technical advisor and guy. We had a 30-second delay, and it's like, well, how can you sit in your cars and listen to your kids graduate 30 seconds later? So we worked all that out, got that down, and were able to broadcast, and people in their cars could hear, as well as a lot of people that couldn't be there could also listen at home as well. So, and then that has led to Zoom that we're now using at the studio. So we're a lot more efficient in bringing in extra guests and things like that. So technology-wise, COVID really helped us in that aspect. That was just a bigger change in a lot of the things that we do.
And that's when I feel like the community really saw our worth, was during COVID. What we were able to do and keep the community connected when the world was telling us we had to stay apart. I think that's when we saw our true value, and so many others did too.
Because with the Zoom, I was able to come into the studio. Tina was able to stay at work from home. Joe was able, so we were still able to, because we didn't have to shelter in place being part of the media, so we were still able to bring kind of a little bit of normalcy to people's lives at home, along with the health department updates week to week with Krista Wazowski and everything else. So we were still able to do that, and it was nice to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Tom, tell us, what was one of the key steps to get the station in operation? You talked about the FCC and the licensing and that
Money.
Yeah, well, money, and again Joe and Susan Arpad funded all the initial equipment and everything else, and a lot of that end of the paperwork was done really before it was handed over for us to start running wire and doing things like that. But after that, we're looking at in the future of possibly moving the antenna and things like that, or to help our help our signal a little bit. But again, a lot of to your question, a lot of that work was done before it was handed over to us to start getting the signal out. And again, that was a lot of the work of Joe Arpad, Tim Davidson, of course. At first, we have to thank Tim, because Tim was in radio. He did a lot of our initial sales and everything else. But Tim also, because of being a nonprofit station, all the music that's in, we never bought that as a music package. Tim went to the, he had a list of the popular music, the rock and soft
of the genre that we play.
And so he went to the library. Those were all downloaded one at a time off of CDs and DVDs and put in one at a time. So the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that, we have to thank Tim for that. All the music that was in there initially, it was all, they're all put in one at a time.
Yeah, the library has a good selection of CDs and the like. And boy, to think that he did that one by one is a remarkable feat. No question about it. And any to celebrate your 10 years, are you going to do any big events or activities so people can appreciate 10 years of Wadsworth Community Radio?
Can I steal this?
Yep. No, absolutely.
I'm
This is
because
hers.
this is my jam.
Okay.
This is hers.
This is me. So we've been talking probably for the last, a year before leading up to this. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And so we came together and decided that we have done a contest where you pay to play, if you will, for a couple of years now. So last year we moved it to the summertime. We kept it the summertime this year. And we just picked all of our winners yesterday, 10 winners on our 10th birthday. So everything is around the number 10. And it's $10. It was $10 to enter. One person, first person chosen, got first dibs at our first prize. So we had 10 different prizes, and that's kind of what we did to raise money and also give back. So now, just today, we have transitioned into our Summer Kindness Challenge giveaway. So we have over $700 worth of prizes to give away over the next 10 weeks, and we created this almost like a bingo board of kindness challenges, and each week on Monday, except today we posted it a bit early, or late, a little bit late, because we were picking our winners yesterday. But look each Monday for the next 10 weeks for the post, and the kindness board will be there. It'll tell you what you could win. It's free to enter. You just have to do your kindness board. So like one of the challenges is pick up trash in your neighborhood. If you want to pick up trash in your neighborhood, you can check that off. Send a picture of you picking up trash in your neighborhood. On that Facebook post, you're automatically entered to win.
So it isn't something that people can't do.
And I'm big, even at home, my big things are kindness and gratitude. I have 3 young little boys. I have a husband. When we had dogs, they were boys. I'm just surrounded by it, and try to just teach kindness and gratitude, because I think gratitude changes everything, and we could all use a little more kindness in our life. So that's why I thought it would be great to do kindness. So again, people giving back to the community to celebrate our 10th anniversary, and also we're giving prizes each week for one lucky winner who posts something that they're doing. And I think it's super fun. And if you want to find that, you can go to wadsworthcommunityradio.com, and you'll see the story that says Summer Kindness Challenge. You can click it, and then you can download the PDF that's inside that story, and then play along with us, celebrate with us. We're really looking forward to it.
And yesterday, we had some friends in Main Street, and a couple people stopped by the radio station to bring us some balloons and things and celebrate. Well, we received a picture and with an area around the picture for people to sign. So over the next year, in our 10th year, anyone that comes in the studio, we're going to have them autograph that picture. And we could take it at events too when we're doing remote broadcasts. If we're here, we're there, we'll take that picture on and collect autographs of people that we've interviewed and talked to in our 10th year. So that's a little bit more for the archives that we're going to do.
Right.
Thank you, Main Street Wadsworth, for doing that.
Adrian, Patrick,
gosh, that's so special.
Yeah, we've had those ladies, and then we've added to that core of goodwill workers. Tina, why is Wadsworth a unique community?
There's so many reasons, but it really comes down to the people. I have never met more kind people in my life here. I think that it just is that Mayberry, like the country song about I miss Mayberry. That is what Wadsworth is. It's a community that really is cohesive, I think, and we really come together, especially when it counts. And I think it's just the people that make it so special here, and it really is a joy and an honor to do what we get to do on the station and continue to connect people. And I know it's cliche, but it's our thing. I really truly feel like we're unmatched. We are. How many other places have what we have here? It's amazing.
Joe, imagine it's pretty easy for you to filter out national news, state news.
Sure,
and
if it's not in Wadsworth, we don't
Right.
deal it, because I mean, you have to realize that if people need national news, international news, there's lots of places for it. We're not going to reinvent the wheel here. What we do better than anybody else is we talk about what's going on in the city. I laugh a lot when people say there's no local, news outlets or that, and it's like, well, we've been one for 10 years.
Right.
We cover council, we cover school board, we do all of all of those things, and we do it 4 times an hour, or during the morning show for 4 times, and there's news that gets out. And I think that more people need to know that, because we do a good job with that.
And with people viewing this show, no tip is
exactly
not,
right.
No
tip is too small.
They may think it's just run of the mill, but you could turn it into a news story.
Well, you can do that, and when you start with just that small tip, you start calling around and talking to people and interviewing people and that, and all of a sudden you get a good story out of that as well.
Tom, it's really nice to have the radio station working with the school system, city government. It seems like Wadsworth is on the same page with the various entities.
It is. It is. And, as Joe mentioned, there's so many different things there that we're able to, one thing leads to another, so many different things, and the tentacles reach out in so many different parts of the community. One of the things, too, when you end up doing and realize how much you reach out, when you get those notes, we got a note from when we broadcast the girls' state game when they won state. We got a note from grandparents in Florida that were sitting around the computer listening to their granddaughter win the state championship. They couldn't get it. At the time, it was just one of the state cable companies, broadcasting or whatever, and they were able to do that. So when you get a note like that, you realize you've touched some people's hearts. Those are the special moments.
Yeah, I plan to do those girls' state championships for a show, and I just got to get on it and do it. So maybe I'll get a note from someone seeing that from maybe in another country.
Right? Yeah.
Possibly,
Exactly. Yeah.
As Polka Time again reaches to Europe and beyond. Yeah. So I think sometimes we take for granted the impact that radio stations or cable TV stations can have. Tina, is that right?
Yeah, I think we are so lucky, and maybe we don't take it for granted on purpose or anything like that, but to know how lucky we are to have this local news right at our fingertips, to be covering the local sports like these guys do. And I want to say thank you to Alex McIlvain as well, because he is a huge volunteer with us in terms of sports coverage and play-by-play, and we are so lucky. It's really nice to know that after 10 years, we're still here because we are a nonprofit and we are self-sustaining now. We stand on our own 2 feet. We got started with help with the RPADs and finances. Now we are standing on our own, and I can't imagine actually being in Wadsworth and not having us here. I think we're so vital, and I think people now expect that, okay, I'm going to turn to 97.1, or I'm going to go to the stream, and I'm going to go to the website, or I'm going to go to their social channels to see what's going on, even if it's as simple as this stretch of road is closed, or when is this new place opening, and how long was the first person in line? The little things like that. Or, hey, this mom and pop shop in town is giving out free donuts for dads on whatever day. I mean, there's nowhere else that you can get.
What about
that.
School closings? They got 4 inches of snow. I used to live outside of Worcester. And we used to listen to WWST, and boy, we couldn't. Whoa, no school.
Boy, has that changed though, Joe, and how we. Gosh, we used to have these big, thick binders. I've been in radio now 19 years, or in the media, and we used to have these big thick binders where the superintendent would call in, have to give you a code, you'd have to search in the binder, see if they were the real person that they said they were,
wow.
and then put that out. You remember
Right,
that? Yeah,
absolutely.
So
We even get calls in the morning. We'll get texts from the street department going, hey, in the morning, hey, announce this,
Yeah,
we're doing
road
this, we're
update.
doing that. I mean, they're that engaging.
Yes.
And but before we wrap up, we mentioned Derek Gorman, who does all of our technical aspect of us. Something will happen, I can call, hey, Derek, is this an internet problem? Is it this or that? Thank you to him, as well as Judy Powers, who does all our underwriting for us and runs the Taste of Wadsworth as well. So, and again, those are the people that are behind us that you don't see, that we wouldn't be here without them either, by no stretch of the imagination. So we have to thank them.
That's a great point. Tom might be the most visible person. I have a young family, and Joe, lives a little bit farther away, although, Joe is always here for sports and everything like that, but it's the people behind the scenes too who really make this possible that you may not see, but we're all so uniquely gifted in what we do that I think that's why it works so well. And speaking of A Taste of Wadsworth, that's coming up July 16th, and so 5 to 8?
Yep, 5 to 8.
Okay, I had to think about
Downtown
that.
on College Street, yeah, 5 to 8.
Yep, in downtown Wadsworth on College Street. Lots of different food vendors, all local Wadsworth based. So you're going to want to come down for that.
You three seem very enthusiastic about the station. Joe, what do you like about Wadsworth Community Radio?
Working with us. Was that not it? Wait, was that not it?
I didn't realize that my voice had changed so much in that. I just like to be able to cover news, really get involved in community, cover a lot of sports, and we've had a lot of sports heroes here in 10 years. You go back to Jody Johnson and who was a National College Player of the Year.
Caitlin Vujas.
Although she was a little before us.
Yes, yeah, okay, yeah.
Joey Boffman,
Yeah.
Mitch Evans, who's now with the
Right.
Carolina Panthers.
Right,
And I mean,
right.
we've had, Solomon Callahan, we've had a lot of very talented young people representing the schools and all of that, and it's been good to see them, progress and getting to know the coaches. We mentioned George and Justin, Todd, and all the basketball coaches, and Coach Booth and that who we've had, and Coach Pickard. So it's been great working with them.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation. I'm afraid it's over, though.
Yeah.
So we will go ahead and celebrate Wadsworth Community Radio 10th anniversary, and I wish you 10 more good years of broadcasting.
Well,
so
thank
you
you.
very
Oh,
much.
we want 20.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so-
yeah.
all right, 25.
All right.
25.
All right,
Thanks
you.
for viewing.
All right, thank you.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.